Hola familia, bienvenidos. Thank you for your interest in your own spiritual transformation and in the service to others. As with any other great adventure, service to other comes not without its own risks and dangers, and we need to be aware of those. We need to know what they are. We need to ask God to help us to avoid them. But it is also service. It's also a fundamental part of our cultivation as humble followers of Jesus Christ. It's really that important. It's not an option. It's not just a good idea. It's really part of our transformation as we grow into humility to follow our God. So it's really that important. It is here in serving others where we can really see what's going on in our own hearts, what transformation is taking, what kind of transformation is taking place within. So, in the next few minutes, I would like to make this brief presentation about Agape service within the context of discipleship at Christos community. And I would like to start with some sort of a definition about what Agape service is. At our congregation, we summarize our discipleship path by saying that we want to see, we want to enjoy, and we want to share the beauty of Jesus Christ in cultural diversity. Service to others is the second part of that path. It is the to enjoy part. Why do we say that? Well, because when we serve others using the gifts, using the areas of interest and or the passions that God has given us, we delight in his generosity towards us. Remember that bicycle you once got for Christmas? It looked great under the tree, I'm sure, but man, wasn't even better when you actually took it out for a ride on the street? It was there and then when you really enjoyed that gift, when you apply it, when you use it in its intended way, that's when you really enjoy it. And it's the same here when we put into practice what we have received from our God. So let me tell you the why, the what, and the how about our service. And we start with the why, the reasons behind Agape service. Why do we serve? We serve because in service or through serving others, we get to know our God, we get to know ourselves, and we get to experience meaningful spiritual transformation. We serve others because it's in this service that we really get to know God's character. Serving others in cultural diversity means to be operating out of our weakness, since we will be outside our cultural preferences. At this point of weakness, our dependency on Him will be more evident. It will be clearly displayed. It will move us to spend more time with Him in prayer. All this time hanging out with our God, desperately asking Him to intervene, will allow us to know His character in a better way. We serve others because in service, we get to know ourselves better also. When we are within our proverbial quote unquote comfort zone or operating out of our or based on our own strength, it is very easy to hide our idols. And yes, I say idols. We still have them. We're still dealing with them. And service to others will expose them. But also, service to others will help us to see how much His work of restoration it's advancing in each of us. Service to others is then the backdrop against which we can see unnatural abilities growing out of our hearts. Abilities like loving God and loving others, loving our neighbors as ourselves more and more each time. We serve others because in service, we get to experience meaningful spiritual transformation. It will stop being nothing but theory for us when we serve others. It will be a real testing ground for all the theological knowledge we have acquired over the time. It could be over years or not that long. Over this time, we have acquired some knowledge, something theological knowledge, and now we're going to put it into practice. Without this hands-on experience, without this practice, our faith will never be stretched in a healthy, real way. This is why we serve. And in summary, we can say that we serve because His work, because His love in us compels us to do so. This is the very reason we call it agape service. Agape meaning love. We serve others, we serve in cultural diversity because we have been loved by the triune God of Scripture to that extreme. Now, let me tell you what to avoid, what to be aware of, the dangers in serving others in cultural diversity, and the things that we need to avoid with His help. We need to avoid this. We need to be aware of these dangers. First is idolatry. When serving, we must avoid idolatry, thinking that the way we are, that our language, family values, political views, affiliation to a particular denomination, to think that all these things are the way everyone else must be. To think that way, that is idolatry. His beauty is the standard, beloved, not us. When serving, we must be aware that we could bring severe cultural damage. Forcing our cultural preferences in others, this is forcing on others our idolatry, can hurt those we are serving. The very people we are supposed to love through service, we can really hurt them, because when we impose our cultural preferences, we can bring unnecessary tension and stress into their lives. When serving others, if we do it for the wrong reasons, we could find ourselves spreading lies. We can find ourselves spreading lies about what real hope is like, about God's character, about how He is like, what He is doing. We can find ourselves lying about His work of redemption. We can be presenting falsehood about all these things, all these topics. We could be pointing others to our own cultural preferences instead of pointing them to His beauty. So we say that in service, we want to avoid putting our cultural preferences on a pedestal. Now, to talk about the how, some practical steps, how to get ourselves ready to serve, not based on our cultural preferences, to serve out of a position of weakness, as I mentioned. And this is how we serve. How we serve? Well, we must be humble, we must be teachable, and we must be in expectation. We need to remember constantly that we are sinners who has been redeemed, all because of His beauty. There is nothing in us that would guarantee or that would move God to love us more. It is all about His grace. It's all about His person. It's all about His work. It is His beauty, not us, that guarantees our own restoration, our own salvation. So we must be humble. Let us remember constantly that we depend completely on His grace. When we serve, this is how we serve. You need to know this. You can learn something from those that you are serving. Your life can be enriched by their stories, by the stories of how God is operating in their lives. Working out of your weakness can teach you much about dependency on Him, on His beauty, and about His faithfulness. So be teachable. Come to serve with an attitude of being teachable, of learning something that God may want you to learn, to know about. And then in the midst of all this, we need to remember, you must remember that our God is faithful, as I mentioned. Uh, he may show up, and what a glorious moment that will be. There is very little that can be compared to that moment when the God of the universe intervenes in time and space, when the triune God of Scripture walks into our daily life and transform the human heart. And when we get to be witnesses of that miracle, that is amazing. There is almost nothing that can be compared to that. So be in expectation. Our God may show up once again. So in summary again, we say that through service, we want to point ourselves and others to Him, the triune God of redemption. If we come with this attitude, this is how we serve, coming with this attitude. Now, to conclude, let me just talk about 3 very simple next steps, things that you can do, starting even now, if you're interested. If you're interested in engaging in Agape service at Christos. First, pray. Pray and ask God to help you, to give you a desire to see Him, to give you a desire to enjoy Him more, to give you a desire to love others, not because of the response that you may get, but because of the love and grace that you have received. Also, please use the workbook that we have available at the main entrance. The foyer G at our facility, at our building, is next to that desk that we have at the reception. And right before you go into the main foyer, there is an information rack. You will see there our workbook. Take it, read it, study it, go over all the scriptures, answer all the questions, put it apart, put it back together, whatever you want to do with it, use it. It's a great resource. Please don't forget about that. That will be the second way, the second step. And then finally, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, really anything regarding your engagement in serving others in cultural diversity, because you want to experience a meaningful spiritual transformation, shoot us an email, agapeservice@christoscommunity.org. Let us know what is in your mind, and I promise we'll try our very best to answer those questions as soon as possible. For your time, we thank you. This was but a short presentation. I hope it has been useful. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. May the Lord bless you, and we will be in touch. Thank you. Hasta luego.